You've heard it so many times before. Technology is changing everything. What's more, the pace of the change is ever increasing. People are connected and communicate freely, but in this process, lives can be disrupted. For young people today, it's necessary that they understand the nature and the pace of this change. Let's stop for a second and consider how much life has changed for human beings in the last 200 years. In 1800, there were about 1 billion people on the planet. Today, there are almost 8 billion. Back then, most people lived on farms, but today, people live in cities. So not that long ago, our lives were slower, quieter, less connected, and more predictable. If you think about it, the life of an American farmer in the 1800s would not be that different from a farmer who lived during the Roman Empire. We were rural and agrarian people. But something happened. New technologies appeared. Quick definition. Technology are the tools, machines, and devices we use to solve real-world problems. In the 1800s, new technologies appeared and began to change society. Steam power, electricity, telephones, railroads, internal combustion engines, airplanes. People moved from the country to the cities as less farm labor was needed. In the first half of the 1900s, businesses and workers developed heavy industrial processes and started to create more sophisticated products for businesses and for homes. Thousands of farmers lost their farms as a result of the Industrial Revolution. But millions more jobs were created in industries that those farmers could have never dreamed of. Electricians, firefighters, steel workers, truck drivers, engineers, chemists. New businesses needed skilled workers. So life in the city needed more specialized labor. A very similar process is happening now, but more on that in a bit. Then, after World War II, people discovered how to use machines to handle massive amounts of data. While these first computing machines were as big as buildings and needed teams of experts in lab coats to operate them, computers began to get smaller. And in the 1960s, the invention of the silicon microchip made computing very tiny, faster, and more efficient. Well, it happened again. Millions of jobs were eliminated by the new computerization. Tens of thousands of phone switchboard operators were out of work, along with typesetters, elevator operators, loggers, auto workers, and milkmen. Like before, just when technology eliminated millions of old jobs, it created millions more to replace them. A very similar process is happening now. But more on that in a bit. It's going to be good. Just hang on. Anyway, back to our story. In the late 1980s, some researchers had the great idea to connect computers with a system of wires and cables we now call the Internet. By 1990, everyone was given access to these connections. Businesses everywhere created networks of computers to improve the productivity of their workers. People could access new social groups, news, information, and even shopping from their homes. The Internet age had begun. Economic growth accelerated. Millions of jobs got eliminated by the Internet. Film developers, travel agents, map makers, print journalists, bank tellers, just to name a few. Just when technology swoops in and eliminates an uncountable number of jobs, many times that were created. We began to need web developers, data specialists, software engineers, network engineers, and more. So, a very similar process is happening now. I promise we get to this, so here we go. In the last 20 years, the pace of technological change has only quickened. 100 years ago, it took decades for a majority of American homes to get a radio or electricity. After World War II, it took Americans less than 20 years to get TVs. And in the 1990s, it took Americans less than 10 years to get access to the Internet. So you see the pattern. We move to new technology faster and it gets more affordable at the same time. Then, in 2007, after the world's first touchscreen smartphone was released, it took less than 5 years for them to saturate the market. The point is this: new technology will enter our lives from now on. People will adopt that technology in a matter of years or months instead of decades, and this will cause disruptions in some industries. Disruptions are events that cause businesses and industries to drastically change the way they do things. The end result can be a loss of jobs or a change in how those jobs are done, and even can result in the closing of some businesses. Consider what's happened to newspapers in the last 20 years. Newspapers used to employ thousands of highly skilled writers housed in huge buildings and owned massive printers and fleets of delivery trucks. Every day, the paper was at my front door, I read stories for the first time, and I got my news that way. But print media got disrupted. Since then, newspapers have cut staff and eliminated print editions. They are struggling. However, people still get their news. Reporters still disseminate information in newer and more immediate formats. It comes to us in blogs, podcasts, videos, tweets, and other new novel sites. In fact, there is more news than ever. We just get it immediately and largely unfiltered. We've gone from the era of big business, delivering services and products to us slowly, to the era of immediacy and now. Those businesses occupied buildings and owned big machines that made products. Every business now is being disrupted. Our ever-changing economy emphasizes information flow, sharing, borrowing, and adapting. But what does that mean? Here's an example. A YouTuber you like posts a video online that features a new song by an artist that you like. 20 years ago, you would hear the song on the radio, then you'd go to a music store, you would purchase the album, and then you would own it. Very different today. Now, you watch a video on YouTube, you post a comment asking what that new song is. You get a quick answer. You go to your music service online, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Pandora, and there, you listen to the song immediately. You love a part of that song so much that you pull a sample clip and include that in a video that you are producing. That's what we mean by flow, sharing, borrowing, and adapting. In the last 3 decades, the internet has gone from a small experiment to an essential part of our lives. By 2025, there will be over 30 billion devices on the internet. There will be over 10 billion websites hosted on millions of web servers. This is not eliminating jobs, it is creating them. More importantly, opportunities for you to participate in this changing economy are everywhere. Consider the last 20 years at my high school. At the turn of the century, we had 2 people who handled all the computers and tech on campus. Since then, we've added a director of information technology, a faculty technologist, a webmaster, a graphic artist, 2 people who handle our database, a systems engineer, 1 director of tech hardware, and 3 more people to assist them. Think of all those jobs that did not exist prior to the internet. Now, try to imagine the hundreds of new jobs industries will be creating in the next 50 years. Let's see what you think about some of these jobs. Drone traffic control specialist, augmented reality journey builder, simplicity engineer, autonomous car specialist, personal medical interpreter, human technology integration specialist, sharing manager, opportunity analyst, data stream specialist. The worlds of science, technology, engineering, and math are filled with these jobs and possibilities. You can use your knowledge to watch for changes and trends. So I am here to tell you that the world is going to offer you so much opportunity in the future. The world needs your ideas and your talent. We need you to recognize problems, put your brain to work, and come up with solutions. The world is more connected than ever. But your ideas can be sent into the world instantly, and your ideas can solve problems, and your ideas can make the world a better place. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.